I think I found my favorite book of 2023. Problem is, I'm only a fourth of the way through it, and it is March. So we have 9 more months to go and to test that hypothesis, but I'm gonna bring you along. So hi, if you are new here, my name is Michelle. I do a bit of YouTube, BookTube in particular, and I talk about mental health as well as monthly challenges. If that is interesting to you, please hit like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. So today we're going to talk about a book that I have been absolutely loving, and I'm only in the fourth of the way through, like I mentioned, and the book is Celeste Ng's Everything I Never Told You. Now, the premise of this book is that there is a family and there has been a death, and this death and finding out about this death is told through the eyes of her remaining family members. The concept of a death in the family is not unique at all, but the way Celeste Ng writes about this death is so different from anything that I've read before. So with this book, I started reading the first chapter probably a week ago, and I think after the second chapter, I was ordering it on Half Price Books. And I'm still waiting for the novel to come in via Half Price Books, and I'm still impatient because I'm worried that I'm actually going to finish the novel before the book actually arrives, that I ordered it on Amazon. So I ordered it twice, and it's supposed to be here tomorrow, and I am super excited to finish the novel with the book in my hand so I can mark it up and just highlight all the different things that I love about this book. Alright, so we just got the package, and Raph is going to open it for me. Okay, move your cheese.
Okay.
Open it up for me. It's okay. It's alright. No. It's something that's a cover. Yes, it's okay.
I didn't know it.
It's alright. It's alright. Thank you, honey. All right, so I finished Everything I Never Told You, and I have some thoughts on the book. First of all, I did say in the little bit earlier that I thought this was going to be my favorite read so far this year, and that has held true. I think it's not only my favorite read of March, but I think it's going to be my favorite book of 2023. Now, to describe to you why it's my favorite book is going to be difficult because it'll be just a lot of me reading passages because The writing in this is so different. It's so beautiful. It's very, very descriptive. So I am going to read through a little bit of passages so that you can get an idea of what type of writing, why Celeste Ng's book is different. And while James clicks on his headlights and eases the car into motion, stunned at how much has happened in one day, his son peers through his bedroom window in the growing dimness, staring out at Jack's house, where the porch light has just turned on, where the police car has long since pulled away. Up in the attic, Hannah curls up in her bed, sifting through each detail of the day, the white spot on her father's knuckles as he grasped the steering wheel, the tiny beads of sweat that clung to the minister's upper lip like dew, the soft thump of the coffin made as it touched the bottom of the grave, the small figure of her brother spied through the west-facing window of her room, rising slowly from Jack's front step and trudging home, head bowed, and the faint questioning creak of her mother's bedroom door opening, answered by the quiet click of Lydia's door latching shut. She had been there for hours. Hannah wraps her arms around herself and squeezes, imagining comforting her mother's arms comforting her in return. Marilyn, unaware that her youngest is listening so closely, so longingly, blots her eyes and replaces the diaries of the shelf and makes herself a promise. She will figure out what happened to Lydia. She will find out who was responsible, and she will find out what went wrong. Now, I love the way Celeste Ng is able to capture all of these different visions, different perspectives, and then put them in one paragraph and weave them into each other so that you're not lost, but you're like taking like a cinematic tour of what's happening in this exact moment in everybody's eyes without really changing perspective. And everyone's perspective kind of flows through with one another. So I love that passage. I've read it a few times. I want to study it because I think it's such a good example of trying to bring so much detail and so much perspective and putting it in a pot, but not making it confusing, not making it overwhelming to read, but still also making it interesting. Some of the bigger themes that I wanted to talk through are burden and being different and the subtleties of being treated differently. So the first passage that I wanted to talk about deals with race. Let me see. Okay. One day, she had opened her eyes and found Stacy Sherwin standing before her. Stacy Sherwin, of the waist-long golden hair, surrounded by a gaggle of girls. In Middlewood's kindergarten class, Stacy Sherwin was a kingmaker, already adept at wielding her power. A few days earlier, she announced, "Jeannie Collins stinks like garbage water." And Jeannie Collins had peeled away from the group, ripping her glasses from her tear-smudged face, while the other girls in Stacy's coterie tittered. Lydia, from a safe distance, had watched this unfold with awe. Only once, on the first day of kindergarten, had Stacy poked to her directly. "Do Chinese people celebrate Thanksgiving? And do Chinese people have belly buttons?" "We're all going to my house after school," Stacy said now. Her eyes flicked briefly to Lydia's, then slid away. "You could come too." Suspicion flared in Lydia. Could she really have been chosen by Stacy Sherwin? Stacy kept looking at the ground and wound a ribbon of hair around her finger, and Lydia stared, as if she might be able to see right into Stacy's mind. Shy or sly? She couldn't tell, and she thought then of her mother, her face peering through the kitchen window, waiting for her to arrive. "I can't," she said at last. "My mom said I had to come straight home." Stacy shrugged and walked away, the other girls trailing behind her. In their wake came a swell of sudden laughter, and Lydia could not tell if she had been left out of the joke or if she had been the joke herself. Would they have been kind to her or mocked her? She would never know. She would say no to birthday parties, to roller skating, to swimming at the rec center, to everything. Each afternoon she rushed home, desperate to see her mother's face, to make her mother smile. It's written in a way that you're like questioning. Was that about my skin color? Was that because I was a woman? Was that because, and you like question it, but there's still that little, you don't have answers. And what I love about that passage is that it doesn't have a conclusion. There is no solution. There is only a question at the end. How did they see me? What were they laughing at me? This is a passage from the father and a son, and the father is James, and the son is Nath, or Nath. It's okay, James said, and for a moment Nath felt better. Then his father added, now, if they had a contest for reading all day. All month long he had been saying things like this, things that sounded like jokes but weren't. Every time, as he heard his own voice, James bit the tip of his tongue, too late. He did not understand why he said these things to Nath, for that would have meant understanding something far more painful, that Nath reminded him more and more of himself, of everything he had wanted to forget from his own boyhood. Another passage on the subtleties of race. What's it like? Lydia hesitated. Sometimes you almost forgot that you didn't look like everyone else. In homeroom or at the drugstore or at the supermarket, you listened to morning announcements or dropped off a roll of film or picked out a carton of eggs and felt just like another someone in the crowd. Sometimes you didn't think about it at all. And then sometimes you noticed the girl across the aisle watching, the pharmacist watching, the checkout boy watching, and you saw yourself reflected in their stares, incongruous, catching the eye like a hook. Every time you saw yourself from the outside, the way other people saw you, you remembered all over again. You saw it in the sign at the Peking Express, a cartoon man with a coolie hat, slant eyes, buck teeth, and chopsticks. You saw it in the little boys on the playground, stretching their eyes to slits with their fingers, Chinese, Japanese, look at these. And in the older boys who muttered ching chong, ching, as they passed you on the street, just loud enough for you to hear. You saw it when the waitress and policemen and bus drivers spoke slowly to you, in simple words, as if you might not understand. You saw it in photos, yours the only black head of hair in the scene, as if you'd been cut out and pasted in. You thought, wait, what's she doing there? And then you remembered she was you. You kept your head down and thought about school or space or the future and tried to forget about it. And you did, until it happened again. Hey everyone, it's been about 3 weeks since I've finished Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng, and I just want to let you guys know that not only is it going to be one of my favorite books of 2023, I think it's going to be one of my favorite books of all time. Now that I've let it sit and marinate and really just given into thinking about the book and figuring out if, processing it, I just love it even more after more time has passed. So really cool that it has made my top books of all time. I just didn't expect that with this book. Really awesome. I also have a video where I haul 8 books for less than $3, and if you guys are interested, I'll link that in the cards. You can click on that there. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining me. I'm glad that you stuck with me. Please like and subscribe if you have not already, and please consider it if you have not, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.